The entertaining story begins by showing a little girl named Jenny, who is playing inside her house with a lot of toys given by her father. Jenny loves these dolls a lot and spends most of her time with them. One day, when Jenny is in her room, she notices a bird and gets really excited to touch it. She goes towards the window, but suddenly the bird disappears, and Jenny starts looking for it. Next, we are introduced to Jenny's father, Jeff, who is a comic artist. He writes great comics, but he is still in his growing phase, without a job, and thus doesn't earn money. Jeff is working hard during his struggling phase. At their house, there is a babysitter named Samantha, who absolutely loves Jeff's comics. She starts considering Jeff as an artist because his content is so good. Meanwhile, Jeff's wife is busy with her own work. We return to Jenny, who is still searching for the bird by the window, and suddenly the bird reappears, only to crash into the window. This frightens Jenny, and she falls from a height, injuring her head. Hearing the sound, her parents rush upstairs. Jenny's mother immediately tends to her and then scolds the babysitter, Samantha, because it was her responsibility to take care of Jenny. But instead, Samantha was busy helping Jeff with his content creation, which never seems to help. Jenny's mother even scolds Jeff for his negligence, as he never contributes to running the house. He doesn't have a job, and he doesn't earn any money from the comics he creates. This causes Jenny's mother to become extremely angry. Jeff then picks up Jenny and takes her to the hospital. Along the way, Jeff tries to explain to his wife that he was busy with his work and would have taken better care of Jenny if he had known. Jeff assures his wife that he will go to the hospital with Jenny. But Jeff's wife clearly told him that their relationship was over. She had been enduring these issues for years, and now her limit had been crossed. Because of this, she wanted to divorce Jeff. She took their daughter, Jenny, and left. It was later revealed that Jeff and his wife had already finalized their divorce, and Jeff was called to meet with a lawyer to decide who would get custody of Jenny. The lawyer, trying not to spoil the situation, decided that Jenny's custody would be granted to her mother. However, Jeff asked his wife why she was doing this. He told her how much he loved their daughter and cared for her. His wife calmly explained that Jeff wouldn't be able to take proper care of Jenny, and thus, she would be better off with her. In exchange for accepting custody, Jenny's mother gave Jeff a sum of money to help him start fresh in life. But Jeff was furious with his wife and the whole system. He couldn't bear the idea of his daughter being treated like this. He loved Jenny very much and even threw the check back in her face, as he wanted to earn money on his own. Since everything was in his wife's favor, Jenny's custody was granted to her mother. Jeff returned home feeling very sad and started watching videos of the moments he had spent with his daughter. He truly missed her. The next day, Jeff met Jenny at a restaurant, knowing that his wife would be arriving there soon. Jenny's mother kept calling Jeff, urging him to sign the contract that would ensure Jenny's custody stayed with her mother forever, meaning Jeff would never be able to meet his daughter again. But Jeff couldn't do that, so he ignored the calls. At the restaurant, Jeff ran into an old college friend, who had become quite successful. After chatting, Jeff learned that his friend had opened a growing comic book company. And Jeff's friend was performing very well in his career. But when Jeff's friend asked about his life, Jeff explained how he was jobless and how badly he wanted to gain custody of his daughter, something he couldn't achieve. At that moment, Jeff received a call from his wife, informing him that he had gone to the wrong restaurant. He would need to go to a different place to meet his daughter. Jeff then told his wife about his friend's company, where he might get a job as an artist and start earning well. But when Jeff's friend heard this, he told him that he already had many artists working for him but could offer Jeff a job as an inker. Jeff could never accept this offer because he considered himself a good artist, not someone who simply filled in ink for someone else's drawings. Jeff's wife overheard this conversation and calmly told him that finding a job was not that easy. She continued moving forward, focusing on the call, when suddenly a car hit her, causing her immediate death. Upon hearing this, Jeff was in complete shock. Everyone gathered at the funeral, and little Jenny seemed very sad. At the funeral, Jeff spoke highly of his wife, but then something strange happened. A candle fell by itself and set a photo on fire. The photo had been created by Jeff, and it depicted his wife and Jenny. As the fire spread, the drawing began to distort, and Jeff's face on the picture turned grotesque. The fire was quickly extinguished, but the altered painting now looked frightening. Soon, Jeff was informed that the car that hit his wife hadn't been located yet, but some people believed that his wife's death was not an accident, it was a murder. The mystery surrounding this was unclear. Later, at his house, when Jeff went to a room, he suddenly saw a hand reaching out. As the door quickly opened, inside, he found a strange, menacing clown, a character exactly like one Jeff had drawn in his comic book. The clown looked terrifying, with the ability to twist and bend its body in unnatural ways. Jeff was terrified when he saw the clown moving towards him, twisting its body unnaturally. It was slowly creeping closer to attack him. But just as it was about to strike, Jeff fell back and hit the ground. At that moment, he woke up, realizing that everything he had just seen was a dream. He was sitting on his bed. However, as he looked up, he saw a woman with a terrifying face staring at him. Just as she was about to look directly at him, Jeff woke up again, realizing that even this was just another dream. Jeff was extremely stressed, not understanding why these strange things were happening to him, but he tried to shake it off and focused on his work. Getting a job became extremely important for him, as the money he would earn could help him take care of his daughter. So, he asked Samantha to look after Jenny while he finalized his job search. Jeff went straight to his friend's company, where he had been offered a job as an inker. Although Jeff didn't like this position at all, he knew he had to accept it to start earning money. His friend was surprised by Jeff's sudden decision to take the job, but without thinking too much, he hired Jeff. When Jeff returned home and told Samantha about the job, she was surprised. She told him that he didn't deserve such a job because he was a great artist. Samantha was actually trying to motivate him to think bigger. However, Jeff's mindset was that he wanted a steady job so that he could provide for his daughter's future. He decided that he would take the 9-to-5 job and, in his spare time, work on creating his own comic book. Samantha suggested that Jeff could send Jenny to stay with her grandfather for a while, but Jeff didn't want to do that. He wanted to keep his daughter with him and raise her on his own, even if it meant working extra hours. Now, Jeff sat in his room, writing his comic book, hoping that this would be the key to improving his life and providing for his daughter's future. Suddenly, Jeff began to feel something strange, as if someone was in his room. He stepped out of his room and began drawing odd, disturbing images, dark sketches that resembled the nightmares he had been experiencing. Just then, his daughter Jenny came to him, saying that she, too, felt something strange and that she thought someone was in her room. Jeff checked, but there was no one there, so he reassured Jenny, telling her to sleep with him. Jenny felt comforted by this and agreed. Jeff then went to his friend's company to submit the inked projects he had been working on. Among these sketches were the disturbing ones that Jeff had drawn during his troubled state, the dark, sinister figures that seemed to belong to another world. When Jeff's friend saw these sketches, he was impressed by their eerie quality and, seeing potential in Jeff, decided to promote him from an inker to a comic artist. Jeff was overjoyed. Finally, he had achieved what he wanted. He threw himself into his work, feeling accomplished. However, while Jeff was downstairs working, Jenny, who was sleeping in her room, saw the same terrifying puppet figure that Jeff had seen in his dreams. Jenny screamed in fear, prompting Jeff to rush to her room. But when he arrived, there was nothing there. He took Jenny downstairs with him and tried to calm her down, thinking it was just a scary dream. Jenny insisted that she had seen a dark figure, but Jeff dismissed it as imagination. The next day, while enjoying some time outside with his daughter, Jenny began talking about the incident from the night before. She confessed that she was too scared to sleep alone. Jeff, now reflecting on the situation, realized that he, too, had been experiencing similar unsettling feelings. When he went to Jenny's room, he saw that the sketches she had drawn were eerily similar to the dark figures he had seen, figures that had been haunting both of them. Jenny, for reasons unknown, had been repeatedly calling out "baby" in fear, and Jeff noticed that her behavior had changed in a way he had never seen before. It was becoming clear that something was wrong, and Jeff could not ignore the growing sense of dread. While at his company, Jeff started researching what could be happening with his daughter, as he felt there was something wrong, maybe even a disease. He thought he might find something online. Suddenly, his friend came over to him, and Jeff asked if he believed in ghosts and spirits. His friend admitted that he did believe in such things and thought ghosts really existed. Soon after, an employee from their company came to inform Jeff that an old man, who looked very wealthy, was asking about him. Jeff went outside and realized that the man was none other than Jenny's grandfather. He approached him, asking what he needed. It was then revealed that the grandfather suspected Jeff was responsible for the death of his daughter, Jenny's mother. He believed that Jeff had killed her to gain custody of Jenny, and he was investigating the matter. Back at home, Jeff was writing comic book stories in his room. Samantha was also there, trying to get closer to him, even offering him wine. Samantha was attempting to start a relationship with Jeff, but he wasn't interested and pulled away. This embarrassed Samantha, and she quickly left, feeling disappointed. Meanwhile, Jeff kept working but had secretly placed a camera in Jenny's room to keep an eye on her. After a while, Jenny suddenly appeared in front of the camera, talking to someone. When Jeff reviewed the footage, he saw the same doll that had appeared to him multiple times. Then, the camera abruptly stopped working. Jeff rushed to Jenny's room, frantically searching for her. When he couldn't find her, he feared she might have been attacked. As he looked out the window, he saw a shadow moving toward him. Slowly, he pulled back the curtain, only to find Jenny standing behind it, trying to scare him. Jeff, relieved, laughed it off and picked her up, playfully holding her in his arms. The strange events continued to unfold, and Jeff remained suspicious about why everything seemed to be happening in the same way. One day, while traveling on a train, the light suddenly went out, and in front of Jeff appeared the same eerie doll. The doll swiftly moved toward him, grabbing his neck, and Jeff screamed in terror. But as soon as he regained consciousness, he found himself back in reality, surrounded by passengers who were staring at him, confused by his outburst. This left him feeling unsettled, so he returned home. Back at his house, Samantha was trying to get Jenny to eat, but when she called her, Jenny didn't respond. As Samantha entered Jenny's room, the door suddenly slammed shut on its own. She tried to open it, but it opened by itself, and Jenny came out. However, Samantha's attention was immediately drawn to a shadowy figure inside the room, which turned out to be the same terrifying doll. Samantha was so frightened that she nearly fainted. When Jeff arrived and found her in a panic, she didn't want to tell him the truth and instead claimed that she was probably just tired from work, and that she was seeing things. She believed that after some rest, she would feel better. However, Jeff started to suspect that Samantha, too, might have seen the same horrifying figures that he had. He could no longer ignore these events and decided to investigate further. To protect Jenny, Jeff first locked the door to the room where the doll's presence had been most frequent, hoping it would stop the strange noises. He did this to keep Jenny away from that room. When Jeff later asked his daughter, Jenny, about her past, she asked him an unsettling question. "Did you ever think about giving my custody to my mother for money?" Jeff was taken aback. How did she know about this? Meanwhile, Samantha was preparing breakfast for Jenny, but when Jenny ate, she suddenly felt an intense pain in her throat and collapsed, losing consciousness. Jeff, already disturbed by everything happening, was now even more worried about his daughter's safety. The mystery of the doll and the strange occurrences surrounding their lives seemed to be escalating, and Jeff was determined to uncover the truth. As soon as Jeff sees his daughter in this condition, he begins to administer various injections to try and help her. At the same time, a chandelier falls from above and hits Samantha on the head, causing her to immediately lose consciousness. After some time, police officers arrive and begin their investigation. They find evidence that Jenny has been mistreated. However, when they question Jenny, she claims everything is normal and that her father takes great care of her. Since they could find no concrete evidence, the police leave. Later, when Jenny is sleeping in her room, the dangerous teddy bear appears before her. It is revealed that the teddy bear is not just a toy, but the soul of Jenny's deceased mother, who seems to have entered the teddy bear and is now causing trouble. The teddy bear moves to Samantha's room, where it tries to scare her in a very terrifying way. When Samantha opens her eyes and sees the strange things happening, she is so terrified that she runs to Jeff and tells him everything. Samantha tells Jeff that the woman she saw was none other than his wife, who might have returned. Jeff starts to think deeply about all of this, so he sends Samantha to her house and takes Jenny to her grandfather's house. Meanwhile, Jeff performs a ritual to summon his wife's spirit, hoping that if her soul is really here, it will appear. After a while, the Joker and the puppet appear, and Jeff becomes very scared, but he remembers his wife from the heart and tells her that, even though her death was an accident, their daughter now has the right to live happily. He vows to secure their daughter's future no matter what, and assures her spirit that no harm will come to their daughter while he is around, and she won't have to run from place to place because of money. After this, all the dolls disappear. Jeff immediately goes to Jenny's grandfather to speak with him. The grandfather shares good news that they have found the car of the man who killed Jeff's wife in the accident. The police will soon have more information about this man. Now, the suspicion that Jenny's grandfather had towards Jeff was also gone. Jeff, over a short period, started performing very well in all his work. He created excellent comic stories that impressed his friends' company a lot. Jeff was immediately promoted and sent to a better place where he could further enhance his comic artist talent. In exchange, he was paid very well, which made him extremely happy. Now, all the comics created by Jeff were launched, but his boss told him that he had made a slight change to the story. He said that the ghost Jeff had included in the story would return after the end, and it would be even more powerful. Hearing this, Jeff became very thoughtful. He quickly went to Jenny's grandfather's house to protect his daughter. Jeff told Jenny's grandfather that they should leave the place quickly because it wasn't safe for Jenny. Suddenly, Jenny's grandfather received an email with a photo attached. However, before he could do anything, someone pushed him, and he fell from a height. Jeff rushed back to the house and found Jenny's grandfather injured. Jeff called Samantha and told her to take Jenny to a safe place. But as soon as Jeff saw the phone in his grandfather's hand and the picture of the killer, he realized that the person in the photo was none other than Samantha. It was Samantha who had hit Jeff's wife with the car and killed her. Samantha had also pushed Jenny's grandfather and tried to poison Jenny. It was the spirit of Jenny's mother who saved her life. Samantha, crying, confessed that she loved Jeff very much and had helped him in her own way because Jeff's wife had been trying to take everything from him. That's why Samantha killed Jeff's wife. Now, Samantha, holding a shard of glass, advanced toward Jeff, but suddenly, Jeff's wife's spirit appeared from behind and grabbed Samantha's hand. She immediately drove the sharp object into Samantha's throat. Samantha dies on the spot. Jenny watches everything from above. But now, the spirit of Jeff's wife is moving towards Jeff to attack him. Jenny immediately tells her to stop because she is tired of the constant fighting between her mom and dad. Jenny, in anger, sits by a window and threatens to jump. But Jeff quickly arrives and tries to talk to his daughter. Jenny, completely distressed, jumps, but in an attempt to save her, Jeff also jumps and catches his daughter. In that moment, Jeff recalls all the moments he spent with his daughter, moments he could never forget. After a while, when Jeff opened his eyes, he found himself safe and sound, and his daughter, Jenny, was perfectly fine. It was Jenny's mother's spirit who had saved them both, as she had come only to kill Samantha. Slowly, the spirit of Jenny's mother began to disappear, leaving her family in peace. Jeff, now happy, began to live joyfully with his daughter. And thus, our story comes to an end.